National Football League Super Bowl VIII is on the air. Today, the world champion Miami Dolphins meet the NFC champion Minnesota Vikings. How you doing, everybody? This is Rick Weaver along with Henry Barrow. And Howard Cosell will be on our broadcast later on this afternoon. It is a chilly day. A little breeze. The temperature at kickoff here in Houston will be 50 degrees. We have an extremely foggy day. The lights have been turned on a long time ago. We will have undoubtedly a full house regardless of the weather, 72,500. The Vikings coming in with playoff wins over the Washington Redskins and the Dallas Cowboys. The world champion Miami Dolphins coming in with wins over the Cincinnati Bengals and the Oakland Raiders. Henry Barrow, our color analyst for this afternoon. How do you see things before the kickoff occurs, Henry?
Rick, I think this could be the most exciting Super Bowl of them all.
We'll have Mercury Morris, number 22, and Jake Scott replacing Charlie Lee back as the deep men for the kickoff return. Scott wears number 13. As you recall, Jake Scott was the most valuable player in last year's Super Bowl game out at Los Angeles. The Vikings had quite a win streak this year. They won all 5 of their preseason games. They only play 5, and then had a 9-game streak before they were stopped by the Atlanta Falcons 20-14. Cox will kick off. Morris and Scott are deep down here at the south end to our right. Super Bowl VIII is about to get underway. Here is the crescendo from the fans. Cox is forward, gets the kick high. It is not deep. Scott from the 6. Out to the 10, the 15 to the 20, the 25, takes the tackle, the 30, up the sidelines to the 35 to the 38-yard line. On the far side of the field, Jake Scott is knocked off his feet by number 24, Terry Brown from the Vikings special team.
Doug Busan and Irv Goody made that run possible. They just demolished the people coming down the field.
Warfield is starting. Briscoe is the other wide receiver. Manage the tight end. Greasy the quarterback. Morris and Zonka are the running backs. The other players, the lineups, both offensively and defensively, are as we gave them to you. The Dolphins from their 37-yard line, moving from our right to our left toward the north end of the field. They deploy Warfield a couple of yards to the near side. Briscoe is put off the far side. The backs are in an eye. From the 37, here is Briscoe in motion. Back to the near side of the field. Greasy on the snap. Here's the pitch to Morris. Outside of the right. Turns the corner and is knocked out of bounds on the far side of the field at the 42-yard line. A 5-yard gain for Mercury Morris. Carl Eller, number 81, over to make the stop. Morris on the season with a rushing average of 6.4 per ball game.
So the Dolphins on the first play from the line of scrimmage decided to challenge what's supposed to be the strength of the Minnesota Vikings. And that's interesting. I'm sure Minnesota expected Miami to go right up the middle.
Second down and 5. Dolphins from their 42-yard line. Jim Kick has come in, replacing Morris. And Kick and Zonka are the running backs. Warfield splits to the near side. Kick is a slot man to the far side, and Briscoe is split off the far side. Second down and 5. Dolphins from their 42-yard line. Here is Greasy, hands to Zonka. Hold to the right side, and it closes in a hurry as he is brought down at about the 45-yard line. He was horse-collared by Roy Winston, and Zonka and Winston are old adversaries in the ball game at Minnesota. 2 years ago, or last year, Winston gave Zonka the hardest shot he has ever had. They mark it at the 44, so the Dolphins get only a 2-yard gain. That'll bring up a third down, and we'll call it free. A long free situation. Kick and Zonka remain the running backs. Out of the huddle comes Miami. First, the ball is at the 44-yard line with a third down and 3. The Dolphins going for their first third down conversion of the afternoon. Both receivers are split off the far side. Now here comes Warfield in motion. Back to the near side of the field. From the Miami 44, Greasy drops to throw his first pass. He fires across the middle. Caught by Mandic in the Vikings territory. Knocked down at the Minnesota 43-yard line. Jim Mandic, the tight end, on a slant across the middle, and the Dolphins pick up their first down of the ball game at the Minnesota 43-yard line. The yardage on the play from Greasy to Mandic, 10 yards, and the Dolphins pick up a first down at the Vikings 43.
And they're playing Mandic very loose. He was wide open.
Okay, Morris is back in. He and Zonka are the running backs. Dolphins have the ball at the Minnesota 43-yard line. Warfield splits to the near side. To the far side is Briscoe. The backs are split. Here's a handoff to Mercury. He slips and falls, going across the right side, and is lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. Alan Page, from his defensive tackle position, number 88, makes the stop on the play. And kick comes back into the offensive backfield. No gain for the Dolphins, 2nd down and 10.
Page will get credit for that, but actually Kuchenberg had flattened him coming across, and Mercury slipped.
The ball at the Minnesota 43-yard line. Out of the huddle come the Dolphins, who are in the aqua jerseys this afternoon, the dark jerseys for those of you watching and listening. Briscoe switched to the far side. To the near side is Warfield. The backs are Tick and Zonka. They are split in behind Greasy on 2nd down and 10. Here's the handoff. Zonka, big hole, 40, 35, 40, down inside the 30 to the Minnesota 57-yard line is where they're going to mark it. Paul Kraus, the free safety, made the tackle. He went between left guard and center. A huge hole. Kuchenberg and Langer just split that middle, and Mercury Morris comes back in. Another first down for the Dolphins. The ball at the Minnesota 27-yard line. We have 12 minutes, 15 seconds left to go in this first quarter. Greasy keeping the ball on the ground except for one pass thus far. Ready to go to work is Bob. Zonka now has carried twice in the ball game for a total of 15 yards. Greasy, couple of steps back. The out pattern. Briscoe got it out of bounds on the far side of the field at the Minnesota 21-yard line. Nate Wright, the left cornerback, number 43, ran him out. That's a gain of some 6 yards on the pickup. And they will mark the ball at the Minnesota 21-yard line. Dolphins moving from our right to our left toward the north end of the field. They took the opening kickoff. Scott ran it out across the 30, and Greasy has started from that particular spot. He has thrown 2 passes, is 2 for 2 in that department, and is 1 for 1 in the 3rd down conversion department. 2nd down and 4 for the Dolphins from the Vikings 21-yard line. Warfield splits near side, Briscoe far side. Here's the handoff. Zonka hits the middle on the trap again. Straight ahead, bulldozing power, and it looks from here as if he's got the first down to the 16-yard line. Larry Zonka, who rushed for 1,003 yards, his third consecutive 1,000-yard season. First down for Miami. Eller and Page, along with Larson, make the tackle on the last play.
And that was just a straight-ahead muscle against muscle play with straight blocking from the offensive line against that basic 4-3 front of Minnesota. That was power.
The Dolphins have a first down at the Minnesota 16-yard line. This drive thus far has consumed about 3.5 minutes, approaching 4. The ball at the Vikings 16. Warfield to the near side, Briscoe to the far side. Morris and Zonka are split in behind Greasy on the snap. Here's a handoff, counter trap. Zonka bounces off the tackler, cuts back to his left, bangs his way inside the 10 down to about the 8-yard line. Zonka was hit at the line of scrimmage and just kept driving. Digging back to his left, and he picks up excellent yardage down to the 8-yard line. A gain of 8 for Zonk, and it'll bring up a 2nd down, and we'll call it 2.
The Miami offensive line is doing so many different things and changing the blocking assignments around so much. It's got to have that Minnesota defense confused as to really what's happening.
Briscoe is out, and in Mandich and Fleming as the 2 tight ends to provide the additional blocking up front. The ball at the Minnesota 8, 2nd down and 2 for the Dolphins. Warfield sets in tight as a wingman off the left side. Here's the handoff going to Mercury through the middle, spinning, driving, and bucking his way down to about the 5-yard line. That should be good enough for another Dolphins first down. The Dolphins thus far in the ball game, as far as first downs are concerned, have now picked up a total of 4. The ball is at the Vikings 5-yard line. Jeff Seaman, Paul Kraus made the tackle on the last play.
Because Minnesota is hard to run on this close into the goal line, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Bob Greasy went with a pass.
This drive now has consumed over 5 minutes. We have 9 minutes, 49 seconds to go in the first quarter. First and goal for the Dolphins at the Vikings 5-yard line. Morris and Zonka are the split backs. The 2 tight ends remain up front. Now here comes Warfield in motion back to the near side of the field. Handoff, big hole, 7-1, touchdown, Miami goes Zonka. And Larry Little provided the blocking over the right side, and Zonka carrying people with him. He had a huge hole, just blasted in from the 5-yard line. Jeff Seaman and Paul Kraus were given the free ride, and Yepremian is in now to try the point from placement. That drive consumed almost 5.5 minutes as we have 9:33 left to play in the first quarter. Morrill will hold. Yepremian tries the point from placement. Waiting for the snap is Earl. Here it is, set down. The kick is up, and it is good. Dolphin football action continues from Super Bowl VIII with a score Miami 7, Minnesota nothing. Rick Weaver with Henry Barrow back at Rice Stadium in Houston, the site of Super Bowl VIII. A 62-yard drive and 9 plays, which consumed almost 5.5 minutes. And the Dolphins, with Zonka scoring from 5 yards out, now lead 7-0. Yepremian will kick off deep off to the far side. Is John Gilliam, number 42, and down the near side, number 40, Charlie West. Here's Garrow's kickoff. It is high. It will be run back at the goal line. Is West out straight ahead to the 5, the 10. He tries to hurdle a tackler and is nailed at the 13, maybe the 14-yard line.
That's because Ed Newman in one block took out 2.5 men in the wedge.
Ed Newman is so fired up for this game. The ball at the Vikings 14, a return of 14 yards. Now, set the Vikings for you. Their offense has, of course, Fran Tarkenton, number 10 at the quarterback. The running back will be Foreman, number 44, and Oscar Reed, number 32. The tight end is 83, Stu Voigt. The wide receivers were Carroll Dale, 84, and to the near side, John Gilliam, 42, and they are both deployed to the near side of the field. Tarkenton from his 14, hands off to Foreman, hits the middle, spinning, driving, bucking his way across the 15, gets out to about the 19-yard line. Vern Denherter, the Dolphins' left defensive end, makes the tackle after a 5-yard gain. Interior-wise for the Vikings, Alderman and Yerry are the tackles. White and Gallagher are the guards. Tingelhoff is the center. Bob Matheson has now gone in on the Dolphins' prevent defense, and they put the extra tight end in. The Vikings do. That is Doug Kingsrider, number 89. We'll give you the Dolphins' defensive alignment in just a moment. A 2nd down and 5 for the Vikings from their 19. Waiting for the snap for Tarkenton. The backs remain the same. Hand off to Foreman. Tries to go inside. Hey, a hit and knocked flat. Like a state fair pumpkin. Back at the 18-yard line, Fernandez, and Captain Crunch is the guy who really put the clincher on him, Mike Colon. And they say that his forward progress did get back to the line of scrimmage, so it'll bring up a 2nd down, 3rd down, and about 5 from the Vikings' 19-yard line. Defensively for the Dolphins, Denherter, Fernandez, Hines, and Stanfield normally. Matheson, however, is in there now. And Colon along with Swift, Mumford, Johnson, Scott, and Anderson.
You had to expect Tarkenton to try to run against the first look at the 53.
Kingsrider and Gilliam are the wide men to the near side of the field. 3rd and 5. Fran back to throw his first pass. He throws it out of the backfield. Foreman grabs the ball at the 16, eludes the tackler, gets out across the 20, and that is not enough for a first down as he's knocked off his feet at the 23. At least it would not appear to be so from our vantage point. Lloyd Mumford on the stop, and let's see whether they're going to unpile and mark the football. They had to get it out to about the 24. That is not going to be enough for a first down, a yard shy, and that'll bring in the punting unit. So the Dolphins' no-name defense holds on the first offensive sequence for the Vikings.
A very smart move by Dick Anderson, who saw when Foreman went down. He went down and just fell on the ground in front of him, so Foreman couldn't slide forward that extra yardage needed for the first down.
Mike Eyeshide with a 39.8 average. Number 11 is the punter. The line of scrimmage is the 23, and back at the 8 is Eyeshide. Scott is deep, and Anderson the shallow man to field the punt. Here's the snap. A little bit high, gets the rush. He gets it out of there and booms a low trajectory spiral. Scott will grab it on the run. His hip fumbles the ball. It's loose at the Dolphins 44, and Miami recovers. Holy Toledo, what a break that would have been for Minnesota. Scott tried to run with the football before he had his hands on it. He was rappy-tacked, and Scott came up with it. Dick Anderson, his blocking protection out in front, was knocked on his rear end, so Scott had to fight to get the ball back, and we get a timeout on the field. Dolphin football action continues from Super Bowl VIII with a score: Miami 7, the Vikings nothing. 7 minutes and 8 seconds left to play in the first quarter. The Dolphins lead 7-0 on a 62-yard drive and 9 plays. There's just a recovered fumble of a attempted kick return by Jake Scott. He recovered his own fumble, a 34-yard punt. The Dolphins start from their own 44. Here's a handoff. Forrest to lose a blitz in the backfield. Trying to come to the near side. Turns the corner. 45 and is nailed at the 49-yard line in Dolphins territory. Paul Krause is the guy who got him. It appeared to be a blitz, and actually was, but the terminology is that the right side defensive end, Jim Marshall, came booming through there and missed him in the backfield. Morris actually stiff-armed Marshall and fought him off. So the ball is at the 49 as Merck picks up 5 and bring up 2nd down and 5. Morris and Zonka remain the running backs. The ball is from Miami's 49-yard line. Briscoe splits to the far side. Warfield to the near side. The backs, Zonka and Morris, are in an eye behind Greasy. 6:25 to go in the first quarter. Dolphins lead 7-0. Greasy with a long count at the line of scrimmage. On the snap, a couple of steps back, fires out of the backfield to Mandich on the far side. He's out of bounds inside the 45, down to the 44-yard line in Vikings territory. Roy Winston, the left linebacker, is the fellow who knocked him out. Greasy is going from one side to the other and has completed one in the middle to Mandich. First down for Miami at the Vikings 44. For the Dolphins, as far as the first downs are concerned, they now have a total of 5 in the ball game. And they have this first down at the Vikings 44-yard line. Briscoe switched to the far side, Warfield to the near side. Morris and Zonka this time are split off behind Greasy. Dolphins again moving from our right to our left toward the north end of the field. Greasy on the snap, hands to Morris, finds a hole, switch through across the 40 down to the 39. The Dolphins front line, Henry, is just blocking people up into the nickel seats. Winston and Seaman made the tackle on that last play.
And also, Larry Zonka came up and was an extra pulling guard on that. Zonka threw a beautiful block on that play.
Jim Kick comes in, replaces Morris, and Kick and Zonka are the running backs. The ball is at the Viking 39, where it'll be a second down and 5. We're inside the 6-minute mark with 5 minutes and 45 seconds left to play in the first quarter. And to say it's been all Dolphins so far would be putting it mildly. Kick and Zonka, the split backs behind Greasy. Hand off to Zonka. Oh, right side. Moves his way across the 35 down to about the 32-yard line. Zonka. What a ball game he has had thus far in this contest. He scored the only touchdown and is running behind. Beautiful blocking. His buddy Jim Kick assisted on that play. Marshall and Krause coming up to make the tackle. And they mark it at the 32. That is good for another Miami first down. At the Vikings 32-yard line, and the Dolphins thus far running up some awesome statistics. Zonka's carried 5 times for 35. Morris 5 for 16. Greasy has put the ball up a total of how many times? 3. Here's the handoff. Going to Kick, and he's going to go no place as they were waiting for him that time. Alan Page, the right side defensive tackle, number 88, came booming through there and flattened him out. They mark it as a big roar goes up in the Vikings crowd across the way, back at the Minnesota 34-yard line. Mandich is limping, incidentally. And we have a second down at 13 following that loss. The ball at the Minnesota 34-yard line. Briscoe out of the huddle, breaks to the far side, Warfield to the near side. Greasy has put the ball up 3 times for a total of 12 yards. The ball at the 34, somebody jumps, gets back. Here's a handoff, counter trap, knock a big hole. 30, down to the 25, still going. Inside the 25 and knocked down at the 22-yard line. Here's Larry Zonka on the counter over the right side. Krause and Wright made the tackle on the play. That's Nate Wright. Now Marv Fleming is coming in to the Dolphins' offensive alignment, and it's going to bring up, as they bring the chains in, a measurement. If they don't make it, it'll be third down and extremely short yardage at the Vikings 22-yard line. And it does not appear from here as if they have it. But we could be wrong. We'll wait for the referee to set the ball. They just appeared from here to have missed it by inches. Not very far. And it's a gain of 12 for Zonka. It'll be third down, and we'll call it less than a yard at the Vikings 22.
As a matter of fact, if there was a drop of water on the ball, I think it'd be a first down.
So the Dolphins have both tight ends in now, Mandich and Fleming. Third down, less than a yard, and now here comes Mercury Morris racing in to replace Jim Kick in the Dolphins' offensive backfield. Dolphins have picked up a total of 7 first downs, 2 by passing, 5 by rushing. Zonka has carried 6 times unofficially for 47 yards. The ball at the Minnesota 22. Third down and less than a yard on third down conversions. Thus far today, Greasy is 1 for 1. The backs are in an eye. Here's the handoff. Zonka, quick trap, a hole. He's got the first down inside the 15 down to the 14-yard line. Zonka with the quick trap, and that's one of the plays on which he scored against Oakland. Briscoe comes back in, and Fleming comes out now. Jeff Wright and Krause, the 2 safeties, made the tackle.
And that time, Minnesota's defense did a little something different. They lined a man up over center, Jim Langer, but it didn't do him any good because Langer blew him out.
They are having a rough time defending this Miami offense. We have 3 minutes, 8 seconds to go in the first quarter. The Dolphins lead 7-0, have a first down at the Vikings 14. The Dolphins have completely controlled this football game so far. Briscoe splits far side, Warfield on the near side. Morris and Zonka are split in behind Greasy. Bob up under center on the snap, a couple of steps back, looking across the middle, fires, it is caught by Briscoe. He's knocked down at the 1-yard line. The Dolphins will have a first and goal at the 1. A slant over the middle, a great catch by Briscoe, and the Dolphins have a first and goal at the 1-yard line. Let's pause here for station identification on the Miami Dolphins Football Network.
Super Bowl VIII, See it, read it, feel it like you were there. All the action shot in color, plus pages and pages of Super Bowl coverage in tomorrow's Miami News. WIOD Miami.
Gracie now has completed 4 passes. Madich and Fleming are in. Briscoe making the great catch at the 1. First and goal for Miami at the 1-yard line. The backs are Kick and Zonka, both split. In behind Gracie down here at the north end. Here's a handoff to Kick. He hurdles the right side. He is stacked up at the goal line, and there is no indication from the officials that he got into the end zone. He was really hit at the right at the goal line. He did not make it. He put it at the 1-foot line. So that'll bring up the second down and goal for the Dolphins from the 1-foot line with 1 minute and 49 seconds left to play in this first quarter. Kick has not scored a touchdown all year. Eller and Larson get credit on that last tackle, and I'm sure the rest of this Dolphin offensive unit want to give the ball to Kick this afternoon, at least get him on the scoreboard once per season.
If he scores a touchdown now, it'll be his second of the day. He was in.
All right, ready to go to work. Here is Warfield in motion, back to the near side. Hand off to Kick. He pounds into the middle. Did he make it? Touchdown, Miami. Jim Kick behind Zonka. So Jim Kick gets his first TD of the season. And Zonka, you saw him just stick his nose in there ahead of his buddy, and he didn't get the ball very far in, but anytime you get it right over the plane of the goal line, that's in the end zone. Moore, Kuchenberg, Langer, Little all helped to open what hole there was. So the Dolphins now with 1 minute 22 to go in the first quarter, now moved out to a 13-0 lead. Jim Kick scores from 1 yard out. Your Premium can make it 14 as Morrow is in the hole. Waiting for the snap is Earl. Here it is, set down, the kick is up, and it is good. Dolphin football action continues from the site of Super Bowl VIII with a score of Miami 14, Minnesota nothing. Rick Weaver back at Super Bowl VIII. Zonka's carried 8 times, 64 yards. He and Kick have scored the 2 touchdowns. That last drive, 56 yards, 10 plays. Kick from 1 yard out. The Dolphins have had the football over 11 minutes, almost 12 minutes in this first quarter, and the Vikings have had it for only 1 offensive sequence. Here's Garrow's kick. It is not deep at all. It'll be grabbed by West at the 5, out to the far side of the 10, the 15, to the 20, turns the corner, and he is ridden out of bounds. There's a flag down at the 21. A flag dropped at about the 21-yard line. He was belted out of bounds on the far side of the field at about the 25 by Ed Newman.
And I think Charlie Babb was clipped.
The officials are conferring with the Vikings and also the Dolphins, Lloyd Mumford, and they're going to call holding, I believe, on Minnesota. They haven't been able to do too much right in this ball game. That's what it is. Holding on the kickoff return against the Vikings. The Vikings have the dubious distinction coming into the ball game as being the most penalized team in the NFL. We have 1 minute and 13 seconds left to play in the first quarter. Carroll Dale is at 1 wide receiver. John Gilliam at the other. Oscar Reed and Chuck Foreman will be the running backs. Talkington, of course, the quarterback. The tight end is Stu Voigt. The penalty marks the ball back at the 11-yard line. So the Vikings, having trouble moving in this first quarter, had to punt the first time that they had their hands on the ball. Do not have a first down in the ball game. Talkington is 1 for 1 for 4 yards in passing. And Foreman has 5 yards on the ground. That's all the offense they've been able to muster in the first quarter. Here's Talkington. Play fakes, rolls out to his right, looks up the near side, fires a pass to Foreman, and he's knocked down and out of bounds at the 16-yard line. Chuck Foreman picks up 5. Dolphins defense not giving up anything on the ground or through the air thus far. The short out to the sideline is the only pattern that Talkington has hit on.
And Foreman, in the times he's had the ball today, is running rather timidly for the type of runner he normally is.
Dale is out, and Kingsrider, the big rookie who goes at a tight end or a wide receiver, has come in. We have 1 minute and 6 seconds to go in the first quarter. Dolphins lead 14-0. Matheson in on the prevent defense for Miami. The ball is out at the 16 in Vikings territory. A second down and 5. Talkington ready to go to work. Here's the handoff. Reed to the sweep to the left side. He is caught by Manny Fernandez and dragged to the ground at the 17-yard line after a gain of only a yard. Fernandez, who many people thought, including yours truly, should have been given the most valuable player award of last Super Bowl game. And Jake Scott, the man who teamed up on the tackle that time. The ball is at the Minnesota 17, a gain of only a yard. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 3. Clock moving with 42 seconds left to go in the first quarter. Minnesota has not achieved a first down. They have not been able to move the ball across their own 30-yard line. Talkington brings his ball club out. And King's Rider is set in tight off the near side. Here comes Foreman in motion to the near side of the field. On third down, Francis moves to his right, fires. It is caught by King's Rider, and he's tackled, but not before he picked up a first down out to the 26-yard line. Maybe the 27. King's Rider, the big rookie from Minnesota, from the University of Minnesota, who plays either tight end or wide receiver, gets the first down of the day. Dick Anderson, Nick Bonacati makes the tackle. Tarkenton, out of a scramble situation that time, was sprinting to the near side of the field, lofted the ball for King's Rider, and he caught it. They mark it at the Minnesota 27. That's the end of the first quarter. Dolphin action continues from the site of Super Bowl VIII with a score of Miami 14, Minnesota nothing. The Dolphins' 14 points in the first quarter ties the Super Bowl record for the most points ever scored in the first period of a Super Bowl game. Green Bay also had 14. In one of the early Super Bowls, time of possession. In the first quarter of the game, Miami had the ball 11 minutes, 13 seconds. Minnesota only 3:47. And the Vikings have just achieved, right at the end of the first quarter, their first down of the ball game on a Tarkenton the King's Rider pass. And Minnesota now, moving from our right to our left, have the first down at their 27. King's Rider and Gilliam are the wide receivers. Tarkenton the quarterback. Gilliam splits off the far side. And they set actually Foreman and Reed as the split backs in behind Tarkenton. First down, Minnesota from their 27-yard line. On the snap, here's the handoff. Foreman, a hole on the right side, squirts through across the 30, and gets out to about the 32-yard line. A gain of 5. Bob Matheson on the Dolphins' prevent defense, number 53, makes the stop on the play. It'll bring up the second down and 5. Dolphins will insert from time to time this afternoon. Matheson, of course, on the 53 variation. But Tim Foley, we were informed before the ball game, will also be utilized as a linebacker or an extra defensive back. Well, they haven't gone to that thus far this afternoon. Mumford is playing all the way at left corner. The ball is at the 32 in Vikings territory, second down and 5. We've just started the second quarter. Gilliam splits off the far side. King's Rider set in tight off the near side. From the 32, here's the handoff. Reed finds a small opening and is cracked and knocked down at the Vikings 35. Maybe out to the 36. Bob Matheson, along with Vern Denherter, make the tackle. Manny Fernandez also in on the stop. We'll call up the 36. That's a yard shy of what they need for a first down. And Bob Hines comes back in a different variation, and Matheson goes out on the Dolphins' prevent defense. Third down conversions this afternoon for Minnesota. This is the first one. And they have a third down and 1 at their 36. Stu Voigt and Charlie Goodrum, normally an offensive tackle, number 68, are being utilized for additional blocking up front. The ball at the Minnesota 36, third down and 1. Tarkenton on the snap, hands to Reed, hurdles the right side, he may not have made it. It's going to be very close. At the 37, he was stacked up right there by green shirts. And we're going to have to wait and see until they unpile. Now, referee Ben Dwight says we're going to get a measurement. The chains will be brought in, and our spotter, Al Brook, says no. They missed it by a good foot. And it's going to bring up a fourth down, maybe more than a foot. The ball is just across the 36. And it does not appear from here that they did make it. And, Al, you are absolutely correct. A long foot. And so, for the second time, early in the ball game, the Dolphins defense holds. And the Vikings will have to give it up, punting from their 36-yard line. And Mike Eischeid comes in to handle punting chores, number 11. Jake Scott, who fumbled one earlier but got back the ball on his own recovery, goes back as the deep man. And Jake's on the season, averaging just a little bit over 12 yards per punt return. In the playoffs, 7.0. Dick Anderson is the shallow man. Eischeid stands at the 21. Here's the snap. Not much of a rush. He gets off a high spiral kick. There will be a run back. Scott grabs it for Dolphins 22. Looks for a hole. Cuts for the far side. Now up the middle is hit and dropped at the 29-yard line. A 7-yard return by Jake Scott. And the man who was down first to medium is Vic Tingelhoff. There was a rookie trying to make this ball club. He's only been here some 11 years. One of the great free agent stories. And we're going to get a timeout for both teams to rest, so we'll take it too. Dolphin football continues from Super Bowl VIII with a score, Miami 14, the Vikings nothing. That punt by Eischeid, 42 yards. Scott returned at 7. Dolphins start from their 29, moving from our left to our right. Back in motion to the near side is Marlon Briscoe. On the snap, here is the pitch to Mercury Morris. Sweep to the near side, cuts back to his left. Hurdles the tackler, 30, 35, 40, and he's run out of bounds up across the 40 at the Dolphins' 42-yard line. Mercury Morris rambling for a big yardage, run out by Jeff Wright, the strong safety And Merck picks up 13 yards and another Dolphin first down out at the Miami 42-yard line. Let's pause for station identification on the Miami Dolphins Football Network.
Remember, for the best tasting hot dogs around, it's Durr's Gold Seal Dinner Franks. Buy them at your favorite store. They're Durralicious.
This is WIOD Miami.
First and 10 from the 43 of the Dolphins.
They mark it at the Dolphins 43. Merck picks up 14. A first down for Miami. Dolphins moving at will against this Minnesota defense. Here's the handoff. Zonka starts inside, cuts outside to his left, turns the corner to the far side, gets to the 45, and it's knocked down right there at about the 45-yard line. A gain of some 2 yards. Jim Marshall and Wally Hilgenberg from the Vikings right side make the tackle. Thus far in the ball game, unofficially, Zonka has picked up 58 yards in 9 carries. Morris 6 for 30. Greasy's put the ball up 4 times, has completed all of his passes for 40 yards. Kick is now in the lineup. He and Zonka the backs. The ball at the Miami 45. A second down and 8, 12:25 to go in the first half. The Dolphins leading 14-0. Drive to 56 and 62 yards. Zonka scoring from 5 yards out. Kick from 1 yard out. Then Miami leads 14-0. From the Dolphins 45-yard line. Second down and 8. Greasy drops back to throw his 5th pass. He's being pursued. He is sacked. Back at the 32-yard line. And coming through there to get him. A big roar for the Viking fans across the way. Alan Page, and somebody missed a block on him. They mark it back at the 34-yard line in Dolphins territory. So Greasy loses 10, and that'll bring up a third down at 18. And you don't see that very often because the Dolphins lead the league this year in passer protection. 13 sacks against Greasy and Morrow all season long, and only 1 in the playoffs. All right, the ball is back at the Miami 34-yard line. It's a third down and 18. Greasy thus far on third down conversions has been 2 for 2 this afternoon. Briscoe wide to the near side. Warfield, who has not been thrown to, is wide to the far side. From the Miami 34, Greasy with a deep drop, sets up the throw. He is firing deep up the near side. Briscoe is down. He's got his man beat, and he's hit, and the ball is knocked away. Incomplete at the 25. Covering on the play for Minnesota was Paul Krause, but Carl Eller just flattened out Greasy. So the ball was perfectly thrown, but a great defensive play by the Minnesota secondary. And so to bring up a fourth down, and for the first time, Larry Seipel comes in to punt. Back as the deep man goes Bobby Bryant, who on the season averaged 5.6 in punt return. He's back as a single safety. The line of scrimmage, the Dolphins 34. Seipel, who is averaging almost 43 yards a punt, stands back at the 20. This is his first kicking opportunity of the day. Waiting for the snap. Here it is. Seipel gets a pretty good rush, gets it out of there, and gets off a low trajectory spiral. Fair catch is called for and made by Bryant back at the Minnesota 27-yard line. 27-yard line is where the Vikings will start from. And that punt of 38 yards by Larry Seipel. So the Minnesota defense, for the first time, has come to life in this ball game, Henry. And we get a timeout with Dolphin football continuing from Super Bowl VIII with the score of Miami 14, Minnesota nothing. All right, this is Rick Weaver with Henry Barrow back at Super Bowl VIII in Houston.
Rick, of course, it becomes imperative for the Vikings to get something going on this particular drive. Their defense has given them the ball in good field position, and they have to do something this time if they're going to stay in the ball game.
They have the ball at their 27, moving from our right to our left. Kingsrider is in there, and he and Gilliam are the wide men. Tarkenton with Reed and Foreman ready to go to work. Here's the handoff to Foreman. Sweep to the right side, cuts back to his left, and he gets 3 yards out to about the 30-yard line. And that's all. The Dolphins have reinserted Bob Hines at a defensive tackle and taken out Bob Matheson. Dick Anderson, the strong safety, made the tackle, and now here comes Matheson back into the contest. The Vikings trailing 14-0. Tim Foley has come in, and now for the first time we're seeing the Dolphins with the 4 defensive backs in there. The ball out to the 30 in Vikings territory, a second down and 7, exactly 11 minutes to play in the first half. Both receivers, a slot formation, actually to the near side. Gilliam is the wide man. Tarkenton drops back to throw. Now he's going to have to sprint out of there. He's in trouble, and he's caught and dropped for a big loss back inside the 20. Den Herter and Fernandez hand-fucked the blocking and just rode him to the turf. Let's see who they mark it back at the 20-yard line. So Tarkenton is sacked for the first time this afternoon. The Dolphins were the best, second-best pass rush in the NFL this year, behind only Washington. Got their first sack of the afternoon. The ball is marked down back at the 20-yard line, and that'll bring up a third down at 18.
Tim Foley came in, and Lloyd Mumford came out and has been talking on the phones upstairs. I don't know if they're going to leave Tim in and have Mumford out, or if they're just telling him something.
All right, the ball is at the Minnesota 20. A third down at 18. An obvious passing situation here for Tarkin, and he drops back to throw, sets up. Now he's going to have to sprint out. He is at the 15, fires up the far side. It is caught by Kingsletter, and it is out of bounds, incomplete. The official right on top of the play, a fine call. He's going to be roundly booed, however, from the far side where the Viking fans sit. Up at the 38, Tarkin out of a typical Francis Albert situation, scrambling. Spotted Kingsletter open, but he was out of bounds when he caught the football, so it's an incomplete pass. Eichscheid comes in. The line of scrimmage will be the 20, and he'll stand back at about the 5-yard line. The Minnesota penetration this afternoon has not been great at all. Scott is back as the deep man. Anderson is the shallow man. And Eichscheid will kick from the 5. Here it is. He gets off a nice high spiral, giving the coverage a chance to get down. Scott fair catches the ball for Miami back at the Dolphin 34-yard line. So that's where the Dolphins will start from. Actually, they put it down at the 35. A 45-yard kick by Mike Eichscheid. We have 10 minutes and 3 seconds left to play in the first half of action. The deepest penetration of the ball game for Minnesota thus far. I don't believe they've been across their 30-yard line. Perhaps out to the 34, and that's all. All right, ready to go to work is Greasy. He's got Morris as the slot man to the left. Warfield is wide to the left. Briscoe to the near side. Zonka in behind him. Dolphins from their 35-yard line. Greasy with a long cut. Briscoe in motion. Back to the near side. Here's the pitch to Zonka. Starts outside of the right. Cuts back to his left and booms his way out to the 36. Gain of only a yard. As Zonka, the principal ball carrier for the Dolphins, is brought down by Winston and Eller, and there is a flag on the play.
It was thrown after the play, Rick. I really didn't see what happened. We'll check it out.
A line of scrimmage will be the 36. We're going to get a personal foul call against Minnesota. So the Vikings coming in with as we remarked earlier, the dubious distinction of being the most penalized team in the NFL, have drawn their second major for this afternoon. And this infraction will give the Dolphins a field position at the Minnesota 49. That one was called for hitting after the whistle against Minnesota. 9:55 left to play in the first half. The Dolphins have a first down at the Minnesota 49-yard line. Miami scoring on 2 drives, 62 yards, 10 plays. Zonka rushing for 5 yards in the TD. Kick scored from 1 yard out, culminating a 56-yard drive in 10 plays. Miami leads 14-0. Ready to go to work is Greasy with Morris and Zonka, the I-backs. Bob drops the throw, looking for the left side. It is caught by Warfield. His first reception. He is blasted out of bounds, but holds onto the ball. At the 43 in Vikings territory, a 6-yard pickup. Bobby Bryant, who only weighs 170 pounds, soaking wet and a brick in each hand. The right cornerback makes the tackle at the Minnesota 43. Greasy has been able to get over the middle only once this afternoon, and that was on his opening pass completion to Jim Mandich for a first down in the first quarter. He has gone to the sidelines underneath the Minnesota zone. Morris and Zonka remain the backs. A second down and 4 for the Dolphins at the Minnesota 43-yard line. 9:49 left to go in this first half. Dolphins lead 14-0. Here's the handoff. Zonka finds a hole, and it closes in a hurry as he meets his old friend from the left side, Roy Winston. Jeff Seaman actually was the first man, the middle linebacker, to make the tackle at the 40-yard line. And Wally Hilgenberg. All the linebackers were there. They mark it at the 40-yard line. A gain of some 3 yards, and we'll bring up the third down, and we'll call it just about a yard. Mandich and Fleming, the 2 tight ends, are in. Morris and Zonka remain the backs. Briscoe is out. The ball at the Minnesota 40. Dolphins have just shoved the Vikings all over the field thus far. They have made some adjustments here in the second quarter on defense, but Miami has been in control. A third down and 1 from the 40. Handoff to Mercury. Finds a hole through the middle. Down to the 35. Down to the 30. Dragging people with him goes Mercury Morris. Paul Prowse. The free safety is the man who finally dragged him down, but not before the Dolphins pick up a first down with great blocking up front again. Fleming is out. Briscoe is back in the offensive alignment. Morris now has carried the ball unofficially 7 times, 40 yards. Zonka 10 times, 61 yards. Greasy has put it up 6 times and has completed 5 for 48 yards. The ball at the Viking 30. Warfield, who's caught one this afternoon, splits off the far side. Briscoe to the near side. Zonka and Morris to split backs. First down, Dolphins at the Vikings 30-yard line. Waiting for the snap is Bob. Hands off to Zonk. Starts outside of the right. Cuts back to his left. Bounces off a tackler. Still going to the 25. Down to the 21-yard line. Boom, Larry Zonka. You've got to hit this guy low, and you've got to hit him early, or he's going to just run over people. Kraus is the man who made the tackle.
Talking about running over people, Norm Evans just buried Carl Eller on that play. Buried him.
That's quite a battle going on out there. Eller got in there once this afternoon, and Alan Page beat Kuchenberg once, but normally Evans and Kuch have control, along with the rest of the Dolphin offensive line, have controlled that line of scrimmage. 7 minutes, 48 seconds left to go in the first quarter. Or the first half, rather. The Dolphins have a second down and a yard. The ball at the 21-yard line in Vikings territory. Greasy sets his ball club, ready to go to work. He hands off. Donka pounds the middle, and he's going to be stacked up right there at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. That'll bring up a third down and a yard at the 21. Jeff Seaman, the middle linebacker, makes the tackle on that last play. Kick comes in, and Morris is out, Briscoe is out, and the extra tight end is in. 7 minutes, 10 seconds left to go in the first half. Dolphins lead 14-0. A third down and 1. The ball at the Minnesota 21-yard line. Let's see what they come up with this time. Mandich and Fleming are both up front. Warfield is split off wider than usual here to the near side of the field. Kick and Zonka, the I-backs. Hand off the trap again. Zonka pounds the middle. Gets to the 20, and that's going to be very close to a first down. It may or it may not be. And we may get a measurement. Garrow, by the same token, may get a shot at his first field goal. And that's what it's going to be. They did not make it shy of the 20-yard line. They missed it by a foot or so. So Garrow comes in. And if he can keep from passing the ball, he's in excellent field position here to try to get 3 more points on the board. The Vikings defense stopped the Dolphins attack, and Yepremian will try a 28-yard field goal down here at the south end to our right. Morrow will hold. Garrow on the season, 25 out of 37, 2 out of 2 in the playoffs. 28-yarder. Waiting for the snap. Here it is, set down. The kick is up. He's got the distance. It's good! Garrow Yepremian converts a 28-yard field goal with 6 minutes and 2 seconds left to play in the first half of action. The Dolphins lead by a score of 17-0. We'll pause here for station identification on the Miami Dolphins Football Network.
Ever have that big smoky sandwich served at the Orange Bowl? That rich, smoked, delicious sausage is now available at your grocer's. Durr's Gold Seal Meats Big Smoky Sausage.
This is WIOD Miami.
Rick Weaver back at the Super Bowl in Houston. 4 minutes and 1 second on that last drive. In time consumption for the Dolphins, Yepremian kicks a 28-yard field goal, and Miami has now moved out to a 17-0 lead. This game thus far is even more lopsided than the one against Washington last year in favor of the Dolphins. And as you know, the only way that Washington could score last year was on that fumble recovery, which the NFL calls it. Everybody else call it a pass interception. Miami now has accumulated 153 yards total offense to the Vikings 27, and the deepest penetration for Minnesota in the first half has been to their own 36-yard line. That's how great the no-name defense has been. That last drive in which Garrow kicked a 28-yard field goal, 44 yards, 7 plays. All right, Yepremian will kick off. Here's the kick, low trajectory squibber. It'll bounce and go over the head of John Gilliam, who's trying to come up and make a shoestring catch on it, and wisely let it go into the end zone. It's a touchback, and the Vikings will try to get something started from their own 20-yard line. Tarkenton will be the quarterback. He'll have Foreman and Reed as the running backs. Now let's check unofficially the running statistics for Minnesota. Foreman has carried the ball just twice for 5 yards. Reed once for 2 yards. Tarkenton has put the ball up a total of 4 times and has completed 3 for 18 yards. Ready to go to work is Tarkenton from his 20-yard line, waiting for the snap. Here's a handoff. Foreman sweep to the right, cuts back to his left, and he is nailed at the 22. A gain of only 2 yards on the play for the NFL's Rookie of the Year, Doug Swift. And Nick Monicani make the tackle on the play for Miami.
Foreman on those runs is trying to just ease outside and find that hole to cut up field on, and there's no hole there for him to cut up field.
Kingsrider comes back in, and he and Gilliam are the two receivers. Now they will set a slot to the near side. Kingsrider will be the slot man, and Gilliam the wide man. Reed and Foreman are the running backs. Second down and 8 for the Vikings from their 22. Back to throw is Tarkenton. Has time. He sets up, fires across the middle. It's overthrown, incomplete. And almost could have been intercepted. Chuck Foreman was the man for whom the pass was intended. It was off his fingertips, a little bit high. And the Dolphins' zone coverage was, again, up to the task. Now here comes Tim Foley in as the extra defensive back or the linebacker. Depending upon the situation, Nick Bonicani comes out.
That's what we've been waiting to see, who they would bring out when Foley came in as the fifth back. So they're bringing out Nick Bonicani. And usually in that situation, Mike Colon will cover Nick Bonicani's responsibilities. We'll have to watch and tell you exactly how they're working this.
We have 5:16 to play in the half. Vikings, who cannot get on track, have a third down and 8 from their 22. Dolphins lead 17-0. Waiting for the snap is Tarkenton. He drops back to throw. He sets up, fires across the middle. It is, did he trap it or catch it? Kingsrider at the 35, out to the 39. Check it, Stu Voigt. And apparently caught the ball. Made a tremendous catch. Stu Voigt, number 83, who normally is the starting tight end, caught the ball and gets out to the 39. He was on the ground when he caught it. It was hard from our vantage point to tell whether he had trapped it or caught it.
Well, we see what Tim Foley's assignment was. It was to go for Fran Tarkenton. He didn't quite get there, though.
This is now a first down for the Vikings, which is only their second of the ball game, and this is their deepest penetration of this contest out to their 39. Here's Tarkenton, play faking. He dumps one off out of the backfield. Reed can't hold it, incomplete out at the 40. Stanfill was applying good pressure from his near side, the right side defensive end.
Reed had to turn around the other way. Tarkenton had to pass on the wrong side.
Each club has one sack thus far in the ball game. On second down and 10 for Minnesota, the ball at their 39. This is as far as they've been able to get the ball upfield against the Dolphins' no-name defense. Zonka has scored a touchdown and a 5-yard run, kick from 1 yard out, give Premian a 28-yard field goal, and Miami has completely monopolized ball possession and time.
Now here's another new look. They take out Bob Matheson and put Tim Foley in.
Second and 10 for the Vikings from their 39. Moving from our right to our left with 4:30 left to go in the half. Tarkenton ready to go to work. Waits for the snap. Here's the handoff to Foreman. He is caught in the backfield and is tackled for what could have been a loss, but he wrestled out of it and gets back out to the 40-yard line for a gain of a yard. Denherter had him, along with Doug Swift, and he just fought off the tacklers and fell forward for a yard. Or it could have been a 3 or 4 yard loss. Now Matheson comes back in on the Dolphins prevent defense. The Vikings have the ball at their 40, a third down and 9.
They're really showing them some looks. When Matheson came back in, Mike Colon came out. Matheson, I think, is going to play out on the defensive end spot. We'll have to see what Foley does.
From the Vikings 40, a third and 9 for Minnesota. Tarkenton with a deep drop. Sets up, fires across the middle. It is caught inside Miami territory. The ball is fumbled, but the play has been blown dead at the Minnesota 46-yard line. Stu Voigt comes up with another great reception off the tight end spot. And he was hit. Jake Scott going for the interception. They roll after the fumble as the play has been blown dead there. It's a completed pass. 16 yards from Tarkenton to Voigt. So Fran comes up with a third down conversion and gets a first down for the first time in the Miami territory at the Dolphins 46.
Again, Tim Foley lined up as a linebacker, and his job was to go for Fran Tarkenton.
The ball at the Miami 46-yard line. Clock moving with 3:10 left to play in the first half. In motion to the near side comes Oscar Reed. Here's Tarkenton. Flips it out to Gilliam on the near side. He's going to be caught. Cuts back to his left. Is at the 45, the 44, and might fall forward to the 43, and that's all. Mike Cullen from the linebacker spot contained him, and he was all hemmed in by 3 or 4 players along the near sidelines, and he would have to have the help of the Angels to get out of that one. Jim Lash comes in now, and Kingsrider is out. Lash, a rookie wide receiver, number 82 from Northwestern. The ball is at the 43 in Miami territory, 2nd and 7.
Lash has a lot of speed. They like to send him down deep.
Dolphins lead 17-0. 2:30 left to play in the first half. 2nd and 7. Vikings from the Dolphins 43. Foreman goes in motion to the far side of the field. A fumble by Tarkenton, and he's going to have to eat the ball right at the 45. A loss of 2. Bad exchange on the snap. Denherter is the man who flattened him out. Right there. A little mix-up on the snap between Tingelhoff and Tarkenton. So that brings up a third down, and they mark the ball back at the Miami 45, make it 9 yards to go for a first down. Thus far in third down conversions, Tarkenton is 1 out of 3. And there is the 2-minute warning. Dolphin football continues from Super Bowl VIII with a score: Miami 17, Minnesota nothing. Rick Weaver and Henry Barrow back at Super Bowl VIII here in Houston, Texas. It's still foggy, but it's very bright for all Dolphin fans.
Rick, we've been able to figure out what Tim Foley's doing. He lines up as a linebacker when he's in there. He waits for the hole to develop, and then he tries to take advantage of that hole and go into rush Fran Tarkenton. So far, he hasn't been successful the couple of times he's tried it.
Minnesota's deepest penetration to the Dolphin 43. Now they find themselves with a 3rd down and 9 at the Miami 45. Gilliam splits to the near side. The backs are Foreman and Reed. Tarkenton drops back to throw. Good protection. Sets up. He is firing deep across the middle. Gilliam has got it. At the 18, cuts for the far side. He is caught by Curtis Johnson and knocked down at the Miami 15-yard line. A deep pattern over the middle. A deep post with John Gilliam, the prime receiver for the Vikings, and the Viking fans finally have something to cheer about this afternoon. Tarkenton completes the pass to Gilliam. And there is a timeout taken by the Vikings. That will give them 2 left. And the ball is down to the Miami 15-yard line. So he comes up with a 30-yard pass completion, and Curtis Johnson is the man who saved the day. But Minnesota gets charged with a timeout. It gives them 2, and Miami has all 3 of theirs left. 1 minute and 46 seconds left to play in this first half. The Dolphins out in front 17-0. But the Tarkenton-led Vikings have their first serious threat of the day in evidence. Let's pause here for station identification on the Miami Dolphins Football Network.
The most complete full-color coverage of Super Bowl VIII hits the streets tomorrow at 9 a.m. in the Miami News. See all the action in color, plus pages and pages of stories, all in tomorrow's Miami News.
WYOD Miami.
We're back. The Dolphins will return to the hangar area where the welcome home reception was held last year. 36th Street there at about between 3 and 4 tomorrow. And of course, the public invited. The welcome home reception sponsored by the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce. Here's Tarkenton carrying the ball. Delivered play fake over the right side of the 10 and is cracked at the 8-yard line. Tarkenton carries the football as he slants over the right side on a quarterback sweep and gets to the 8. A pickup with 7. Nick Bonaconti, the middle linebacker, makes the stop. The Vikings now are fired up. The Dolphins have contained them pretty well. But that's a long pass completion over the middle to Gilliam, has given them a 2nd down and 2 for a 1st down. 7 yards to go for a score. Here's the handoff. Reed to the right side. He's going to go no place. He has stacked up. Minnesota immediately calls a timeout, uses up their 2nd timeout. Bob Matheson makes the tackle on the play. And let's see where they're going to mark the ball. They put it down at the 8-yard line. The Vikings now have just 1 timeout left. The ball is at the 8. It's a loss of a yard. A 3rd down and 3 for a 1st down. 8 yards to go for a touchdown. The clock is stopped with 1 minute and 13 seconds left to play in the first half. This great city of Houston has really rolled out the carpet for all of the Super Bowl visitors, except the weatherman, and he hasn't done a very good job today because it has been foggy here for the last couple of weeks, actually, and the sun has shone only a couple of times in the week that we've been over here. But all Dolphin hearts are bright right now with a 17-0 lead, but the no-names have the pressure on them for the first time this afternoon after keeping the Minnesota offense bottled up beautifully. Tarkenton has moved his football team. This drive started back on the 20-yard line, and Tarkenton now has moved him down to the Dolphin 8. A 3rd down and 3. Foreman and Reed remain the running backs. Jim Lash and John Gilliam are the receivers. Tarkenton, the quarterback. They have to get the ball just outside the 5 for a 1st down. Lash flips to the far side. Gilliam to the near side. Foreman and Reed are stood in behind Tarkenton. 3rd down. And 3 yards to go for a 1st down. 8 to go for a touchdown. Tarkenton barks the signals. Ready to go to work. Hands off to Reed. Pounds the middle. And he gets to the 6, and that's all. That might, however, be enough for a 1st down. And the officials see how close it is, and they're going to bring in the chains for a measurement. Reed bouncing off people, going into the middle. Gets down to about the 6th. I don't think it's going to be a 1st down. Vern Denherter is shaken up on the play and comes limping off the field under his own power. Bob Hines replaces him at defensive end. They did not make it. Now they're not going to bring the chains in. They did not make it by a good long foot. Maybe more than that, 2 feet. It's 4th down. What do you do here? Stu Voigt, Charlie Goodrum are in for the blocking up front. They almost have to go for it with 45 seconds to go in the half, trailing 17-0. The ball at the Dolphins 6, 4th down, and less than a yard for a first down. Everybody set in tight. Sarkisian on the snap, hands to Reed over the right side. He didn't make it. I don't think. He is hit and really cracked at the 6. Nick Bonaconte put the stop on him, and the Dolphins take over as the Vikings fail to get a first down. And there's going to be question about that. Maybe they should have gone for the field goal this early in the ball game, but they missed it by maybe a half a foot or so. So the Dolphins hold down at the 5 and take over, as Reed is really cut in half by Nick Bonaconte on the tackle, and the Dolphins take over from their 5-yard line. Just great defense, and the Dolphins' no-names preserve a 17-0 lead with 30 seconds left to play in the first half. That 75-yard drive stopped, and it took them some 9 plays. And there's going to be conjecture, undoubtedly, whether or not they should have gone for the field goal. Mandich and Fleming are in to assist the blocking. Morris and Zonka are the running backs. Greasy from the Dolphins 5, hands off to Zonk, just puts his head down and gets the middle, gets out to about the 7. Just running out the clock. Minnesota has only 1 timeout left in the first half. 20 seconds, 19. Carl Eller, Gary Larson in on that last tackle. 14 seconds, clock continuing to move. They will not get another up now. Minnesota uses up their last timeout to stop the clock with 12 seconds to go. The ball is marked at the 5, so Zonka didn't get any yardage that time. Zonka unofficially in the first half has carried 13 times, 70 yards. Morris, 7 carries, 40 yards. Greasy has put the football up a total of 6 times, has completed 5 for unofficially 48 yards. Dolphins will go to the dressing room with a 17-0 lead, just 12 seconds to go in this first half. And let's check down, have they taken Denherter in yet? He came off limping. No, he's just down here on the sideline. Appears to be his left ankle.
I believe it is his ankle, Rick, and they're massaging it, so I don't believe it's that serious an injury. We'll have to double check.
12 seconds remaining.
All right, ready to go to work with 12 seconds to play in the half as Greasy and the Dolphins just run out the clock here. This will be the last play of the half. Zonka again just falls forward, gets out to about the 6-yard line. And that's going to be the last play of the half. Vikings are out of timeout, and the clock moving. 1 second to go. That's the end of the first half. With the score, the Dolphins 17, the Vikings nothing. We'll be back with halftime comments after these announcements. Gilliam and West are back deep down at the south end to receive your Premier's kickoff. It is grabbed by Gilliam. Out across the 5, the 10, the 15, to the 20. Somebody better get him. At the 30, a flag goes down. It's going to be called back. He's at the 40 in Dolphins territory and run out at the 35. But there's a flag down back at the 22-yard line. And the special teams normally covering like a blanket broke down that time, but it's going to be called back, and Minnesota is detected slipping. John Nottingham finally ran him out, and he found a big hole through the wedge, and that's exactly what Minnesota needed to get him back into the ball game. But as it turns out, they make a mistake. A clip is recorded. Nottingham gets the tackle as Gilliam almost broke it. So the clipping call will set it back to the 11-yard line, and normally he would have been out of bounds at the Dolphins 35. Gilliam and Carroll Dale will be the wide receivers. Chuck Foreman, Oscar Reed, the running back, talking to the quarterback. The Vikings get their 3rd penalty of the ball game, and it could not come at a worse time as far as they are concerned, because they had one of their better field positions to open this 3rd quarter, and had that would have been called back, they could have conceivably gotten in and had great momentum for the remainder of this second half. Let's see what Falcons can do now. Here's the handoff. Foreman starts outside of the right, cuts back to his left, and is knocked down at the 13-yard line. Chuck Foreman, the ball carrier, gets 2 yards out to the 13. The tackle by Tim Foley. He'll bring up a 2nd down and 8. Vern Denherter also in on the stop.
2nd down and 8.
2nd down and 8 for the Vikings. They are in white. The Dolphins in the aqua jerseys, the white pants, the white headgear. Miami leads 17-0. 5-yard run by Zonka. 1-yard run by Kick. 28-yard field goal by Garrow. Kingsleiter is wide to the near side. He's now in there, and the slot man to the near side is John Gilliam. A 2nd and 8. Backs are in an eye. Here's Tarkinen, play fake, sprints out to his right, looking, fires back across the middle. It is almost intercepted, but Foreman comes out of the air with it, and he's knocked down back up the 13-yard line. Mike Colon, who was covering him on the play, had a shot at the football, and had he caught it and held on to it, there was nobody between he and the goal line.
Actually, Colon got his hands on the ball, went right through, then into Foreman, and Colon's momentum carried him right on top of Foreman.
Ball back at the 13. They did not pick up any yardage. No gain on the play. 3rd down and 8. Colon had nothing but daylight had he been able to hold on to that one. Ball at the Vikings 13. Their deepest penetration to the Dolphins 5 on that controversial 4th and 1. Controversial only as far as they are concerned because they elected to go for it and not kick a field goal, and they were stopped. The Dolphins took over. Here is Foreman moving out to his right in motion. Tarkinen sprints back to his right, looking to throw. Being pursued by Fernandez. He's got it and pulls it for a loss. Back at the 6-yard line. A great effort by Manny Fernandez. And the white handkerchiefs come out. Manny, I think, Henry, is determined to show that he should have gotten that foul last year.
Yes, and also that he should be all-pro, which we know he is anyway.
I can't understand how these people who make these selections could leave off a guy like Manny Fernandez on the all-pro.
Looks like Vern Denhert is going to have problems all afternoon. He limped off after that series.
Frank Gallagher, the right guard, was the man beaten on the play. Eyeshide stands about 8 yards deep in the end zone. The line of scrimmage is back at the 7. Let's see if the Dolphins put on a big rush. Here's the snap. Getting through his ball. He gets the kick out of there. It's a good kick. Nice and high. Scott back at the Dolphins 45. Starts for the near side. Tries to get outside. At the 50. Down to the 45. And it's knocked down to the Minnesota 43-yard line. A 12-yard return by Jake. As Eyeshide, kicking with a very poor field position, is the tackle made by Doug Kingsrider.
Well, we got to be honest. I'm sure glad the official was looking the other way because Dick Anderson clipped.
A 44-yard punt that time. The Dolphins with excellent field position start from the Vikings 43. And a score here now, if it's a touchdown, could just about put this one on ice, even though we have a lot of time to play. Because the way the Dolphins defense has been going, Minnesota hasn't been able to do a darn thing. The backs are Kick and, Morris and Zaka. They're split in behind. Greasy, here's the handoff to Merck. Stutter steps, hits the left side, and gets only a yard to the 42. Jeff Seaman, the middle linebacker, makes the tackle on the play. We've found in our observation of Morris's running, and this is not to be critical, but when he hits that hole, whether it's there or not, he generally picks up good yardage, and when he starts to stutter step and hesitate, he's going to be contained. Morris comes out and Kick is in. The ball at the 42-yard line in Vikings territory, 2nd down and 9, clock moving with 12:15 to go in the 3rd quarter. Dolphins lead 17-0. Briscoe switch wide to the near side. Warfield is a slot man to the near side. Kick and Zonka to the back. 2nd down and 9. Warfield goes in motion to the far side of the field. From the Vikings 42. Counter trap over the right side. Zonka carries inside the 40 to the 38-yard line before he is contained. Gain of some 4 yards for Larry. Tackled by Jeff Seaman, number 50, the second-year man from Stanford. Zonka has carried 17 times unofficially for 82 yards in this ball game. And the Dolphins now face a 3rd and 5 situation from the Vikings 38. As far as 3rd down conversions in this ball game, Greasy is 3 out of 4. Let's see what he comes up with this time. Jim Mandich is in, along with Jim Mandich is in as a wide receiver. 3rd down and 5. The ball comes from the 38. Greasy back to throw, looking for Warfield, firing deep up the far side. He's got it! Holy Toledo, what a catch at the 11-yard line and out of bounds. Bobby Bryant is the man who was beaten on the play. Warfield, parallel with the ground, had left his feet, made a tremendous catch, and he sure didn't look like he had any pull muscle on that one. The ball is down at the Vikings 11-yard line with a 1st down.
It's a shame Paul didn't get to practice all week. He might have been in better shape for this ball game.
Just a tremendous catch, the catch of the game. Warfield now has caught 2 for 33. That one covered 27 yards. Warfield flips to the far side. Briscoe to the near side. Zonka and Morris the backs in behind Greasy. 1st down from the Vikings 11-yard line. In the 3rd quarter, Miami 17. Vikings nothing, trying to get another one. Here's Zonka over the right side, carrying people with him down to about the 8-yard line, maybe the 7. Carl Eller, the defensive left end, makes the tackle on the play. First man to make contact, along with the left side linebacker, Roy Winston. They mark it at the 7, gives Zonka 4. That'll bring up a 2nd down and 6 situation for a first down, 7 yards to go for a touchdown. Dolphins out in front, very much in control, 17-0, 10 minutes to go in the third quarter. Knocking on the door once again. Out of the huddle now comes Greasy, breaks off Warfield to the far side. They're moving from our left to our right. Briscoe to the near side, moving toward the south goal to our right. Morris is a slot man to the near side of the field. Second down and 6, 7 to go for a TD. Greasy back to throw, now going to run to his right. Is he going to run with the ball? He's still looking, gets to the 5-yard line and goes out of bounds. Had he elected to run the ball, he could have scored. Roy Winston, the left side linebacker, is the man who ran him out. He was trying to find somebody open in the end zone. The Vikings defense would not permit it, and had he elected to run the ball, perhaps he could have gotten in the end zone with a running touchdown. As it is, they mark it at the 5. That's a gain of 2. We'll bring up a third down and 4 for a first down, 5 yards to go for a touchdown. Greasy has put the football up 7 times for 73 yards. All right, out of the huddle now. Warfield splits to the far side. Briscoe comes to the near side, and Morris and Drucker the split back. 3rd and 4 for a first down, 5 yards to go for a touchdown. Greasy waits for the snap. Vikings jump. Here's the handoff to Morris. Cuts outside to the left. He's going to get the corner turn. No! And he's thrown out of bounds. The flag down at the 9-yard line. Bobby Brandt, the right cornerback, diagnosed the play perfectly and rode Morris out of bounds back at about the 8 or the, check it, the 13 or the 14, but there's a flag on the play. And we're going to get a holding call, defensive holding against Minnesota. That is an automatic first down for Miami. Plus, it's going to be half the distance to the goal line in this situation because it was a 5-yard infraction. That will be an automatic first down for the Dolphins. The initial indication is defensive holding against the Minnesota Vikings. And with 9 minutes and 33 seconds, the penalty again hurts Minnesota.
I don't know who they're going to call that on, but I do know that Larry Little was held up, and that's why Mercury didn't have anybody out there to block for him.
Now, the ball is set down, and it's marched off 5 yards from the point of the infraction. And not half the distance because the infraction occurred back outside the 10-yard line at about the 14, so they put it down at the 8-yard line. The 8.5 will call it the first down and goal for the Dolphins at the 8-yard line in Vikings territory. Kick and Zonka out of back. Warfield, who just made a sensational grab a few moments ago, remains in, but we've got the 2 tight ends in now, Mandish and Fleming, and that could be an indication that Greasy intends to try to run it in. Kick and Zonka split in behind. Greasy, first and goal from the Vikings 8-yard line, following the defensive holding call. On the snap, here's Zonka over the left side, down to the 5, the 4, the 3, the 2, and he's knocked down at the 2-yard line. Larry Zonka off his feet by Bobby Bryant and Paul Krause. Let's see where they mark it. They're going to put it at the 2. Zonk gets 6. And it'll be second down and goal up the 2-yard line. Bob Lertzema comes in, replaces Paul Krause on the Vikings goal line defense. Zonka has now unofficially 92 yards on the ground with 19 carries. 9 minutes, 5 seconds to go in this third quarter. The Dolphins with a time-consuming drive lead 17-0, trying to get another one. The 2 tight ends remain up front for the blocking. Kick and Zonka, each who have scored a touchdown, are the backs. Second and goal from the 2-yard line. Greasy turns around and is talking to Zonka now. Now he's back. Calls the cadence. Here's the handoff. Zonka, touchdown! Zonka, hole on the right side, big enough for a herd of hogs to go through and not touch either side. He was hit by a couple of people, Lertzema, Hilgenberg, Winston, but he just squirted through into the end zone.
Rick, I think that was almost a busted play, too, because it just didn't look like the precision needed, but it worked out pretty good.
Well, that's what Greasy undoubtedly was talking before the ball was snapped to Zonka about. And perhaps it was a decoy. Anyway, Morrow will hold, and Yepremian will try the point. Snap, set down. The kick is up, and it is good. Dolphin football continues from Super Bowl VIII with the score, Miami 24, the Vikings nothing. Rick Weaver, Henry Barrow back at Super Bowl VIII. The Dolphins now out in front by one of the biggest margins in Super Bowl history, 24-0 with 8:44 to go. In the third quarter, that drive, 43 yards, 8 plays. Zonka, 2-yard run, his second touchdown of the ball game. Kick has the other one. Here's Garrow's kickoff. Down the near side is Gilliam, grabs it at the 5. starts for the middle, gets the block at the 10, shakes off the tackler at the 15, still looking for the hole across the 20, cuts back to his left at the 25 to stop. Just across the 25-yard line by Bob Matheson. On the Dolphins special teams, so it's a return of some 20 yards as they're going to mark it up the 25-yard line. And the Vikings, who have not been able to put anything together, the one time they did this afternoon, they went for a 4th and 1 situation, actually less than that from the Dolphins 6, and were stopped and lost the football. Carroll Dale, John Gilliam are the wide receivers. Dale is playing in his 3rd Super Bowl game. He and Meyer Fleming were teammates, and now confusion reigns as Dale cannot get set properly. He comes back to the near side as a slot man to the near side of the field. Tarkenton drops back to throw. Good protection. Now he's going to run with the ball. Gets to the 25 and falls down at the 31. Tarkenton runs for 6 yards. He's been their principal weapon on the ground. Bob Matheson makes the tackle on the play. They'll give him a gain of 6 and bring up the 2nd down and 4. Clock moving with 8 minutes, 12 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. Never a shutout in Super Bowl history. Kingsrider and Gilliam now are designated as the 2 receivers as Dale goes out. Dolphins lead 24-0. Gilliam splits to the far side. Kingsrider is slot man off to that side. Reed and Foreman remain the running backs. Tarkenton, 2nd and 4, drops the throw, swings it out of the backfield. Caught by Foreman. He's across the 35, up to the 40, and he's knocked down at the 41-yard line. That'll be good for a Minnesota 1st down. Manny Fernandez and Nick Policani makes the tackle. Little discussion heatedly on the far side of the field in relation to that particular play. And the Vikings pick up their first down of the 2nd half. The ball is moved out to the 41-yard line. And Minnesota now in the contest has a total of 5 first downs. This is their first of the 2nd half. Kingsrider, slot man near side. Gilliam, wide man near side. First down from the Vikings 41. Tarkenton draw play, hand off. Reed, hurdling tacklers, bouncing off people and booms his way out to the 47-yard line. Oscar Reed, the 6-year man from Colorado State, picks up 6 yards. Tim Foley makes the tackle on the play along with Jake Scott. They mark the ball out at the 47. That'll bring up the 2nd down and 4. 6 minutes. Clock becoming very much of a factor now, even though we're in the 3rd quarter. 24 points in a Super Bowl game is just a great number of points to make up any time, but under these circumstances. All right. Back to throw. Tarkenton sets up, fires it out of the backfield. Caught by Reed back at the Vikings 40. He is caught by one leg, gets away, and is going to be ridden to the ground back at the 45-yard line. They actually wound up losing yardage on that play. Tim Foley again is the man who finally brought him down. They lost about a yard on it. Tarkenton getting nothing to throw with this afternoon. Opportunity-wise, one pass across the middle for some 30 yards to Gilliam near the end of the first half, and then they lost the ball when they failed to achieve a first down on a 4th and 1 situation. A 3rd down and 5 for Tarkenton. 3rd down conversion. He is 3 out of 8. The ball at the Minnesota 46-yard line. Slot to the near side. Tarkenton elects to keep it on the ground. Oscar Reed is going to go no place. He might have gotten a yard to the 47, but that's all. As the Dolphins no-namers, Bob Matheson again fills the hole, and again Minnesota fails to achieve a first down. And so the punter, Mr. Eichscheid, will come on. And Henry, we better start looking through the Super Bowl record book because this defense may be achieving some records. Of course, we'll have them for you at the end of the ball game. Eichscheid will kick, and he will stand back at about the 32. The line of scrimmage is the 47. Scott deep, Anderson shallow. Here's the snap. Larry Ball comes in on him. He gets off a very poor kick off the side of his foot. Bounces now, he gets a good roll on it. The far side of the field, rolls inside the 10 and takes the Dolphin bounce. And he's going to be blown dead at the 10-yard line. That was a low trajectory kick off the side of his foot, but he got a tremendous roll out of it, 45 yards. So there's a timeout on the field. Dolphin football continues from Super Bowl VIII with a score. Our Dolphins 24 and the Vikings nothing.
First and 10, Miami.
At front of 42 yards, the Dolphins start from their 11. Reese ready to go to work with a 24-0 lead. Here's a handoff. Morris over the right side is contained out at the 14-yard line. Burke picks up 3. He was about to break it, but Eller filled the hole for him. So it's a gain of 3 to bring up the 2nd down and 7. Larry Zonka has tied a Super Bowl record held by a few people with 2 touchdowns in the game. If he scores another one, he will have the all-time Super Bowl record of 3 touchdowns in a game. Dolphins lead 24-0. 4 minutes, 35 seconds to go in the third quarter. Minnesota, with one exception, has never been in this ball game. The ball at the Miami 14 is second down and 7. Briscoe wide to the near side. Warfield to the far side. Here's a handoff. Zonka, big hole. 20, 25. Out across the 25 to the 27-yard line. First down for the Dolphins. Beautiful trap blocking up front again from Kuchenberg. Langer in the middle. Wally Hilgenberg, the right side linebacker, makes the tackle. Zonka gets 12. Check it, 13 out to the 27-yard line, and he is now 107 yards, 21 carries, and that gives Zonka a 100-yard plus ball game and gives him his 15th career 100-yard game, and his 5th this year. Matt Pell has the record with 121 yards. Here's Gracie, the handoff going to Zonka, and he's stuck. He is really hit at the 25. They lost yardage. And Gracie took a pretty good wallop back there also, as the Vikings were sending a lot of people. Jim Marshall made the tackle. Again, that play was messed up. It didn't go the way it should. I think it might have been the same play that got a touchdown, but it was just messed up again. Morris is out. Kick comes in. The ball is back at the Dolphin 25, and we'll have a second down and 12. And the ball is put in play. Clock moving with 3 minutes, 13 seconds left to go in the third quarter. Miami is just taking the Vikings apart, 24-0. All right, Warfield on the far side, of the near side is Briscoe. A tremendous performance by the Dolphins offensively and defensively. Kicking Zonka to back. Here's a handoff. Zonka threw a big hole in the middle again and booms his way out to the 30. That starts out as a counter to the right side, and then he cuts back in the secondary to his left. And this time he picks up 5 yards. Jeff Seaman, the middle linebacker, was waiting for it. And that'll bring up a third down and 7. Dolphins on third down conversions are 4 out of 5 this afternoon. Kick and Zonka are the backs. The ball at the Miami 30-yard line. You have come to expect in this ball game the Dolphins to score every time they get their hands on the ball. Let's see if Gracie can keep control of it with 2:25 to go. Third down and 7. They have to get the ball out to the 37 for first down from the 30. Gracie on the draw, hands to Zonka again, and pounds inside, gets about 3 out to the 33, and that's all. So the punter, Larry Seifel, will come in for only the second time this afternoon. The Vikings hold the Dolphins for one of the infrequent occasions. Gary Larson, Alan Page on that last tackle. Line of scrimmage, the Dolphins 33. Seifel will stand at the 19. Bobby Bryant is a single safety back for Minnesota. Seifel kicked just once in the first half for 38 yards. Here's a snap. Gets a pretty good rush, gets the kick out of there. A wobbly one off the side of his foot down the near side. Bounces at the 40 and is going to be grabbed as it started to take a Viking bounce by Tim Foley down to the Vikings 43-yard line. Not a good kick at all by Larry Seifel. Just 24 yards. We'll pause here for station identification on the Miami Dolphins Football Network.
Dolphin fans, now's the time to stock up on Durr's cold cuts and luncheon meats. Look for Durr's Gold Seal meats, the same brand they serve at the Orange Bowl. This is WIOD Miami.
We are back. There's a timeout on the field. We'll hold it here. With 1 minute and 34 seconds left to go in the third quarter. Carroll Dale, John Gilliam will be the wide receivers. Foreman and Reed will be the running backs for Minnesota. And the tight end, Stu Voigt, who has made a couple of real good grabs this afternoon. They've been utilizing Kingsrider, their rookie backup tight end, as both a wide receiver and also as a tight end this afternoon. The Dolphins' defense has been the story of this ball game, and Gracie's astute direction, along with great individual performances by Zonka, who has carried 24 times for 112 yards. What was that record by Matt Snell, Henry? Most yards in a
121.
121. Unofficially, Zonka needs 9 more yards to set a new Super Bowl rushing record. All right, time is in. Kingsrider had started in, but now he goes back to the sideline. Sarkinen has his work cut out for him with 1 minute and 34 to go in his third period. He splits Gilliam as a wide man off to the far side. Vikings moving from our right to our left, start from their 43-yard line. He will go back to throw. Sets up, fires across the middle. It is caught by Chuck Foreman. He is dropped at the 50-yard line. The Dolphins' swarming defense, led by Bob Matheson and Nick Bonicani, bring him down at the 50. Of course, the winner of this game opens the season next year against the College All-Stars from Soldier Field in Chicago. And Henry, if prevails, we're going to be making a couple of trips to Chicago next year because the Dolphins play the Bears up there in a preseason game. Second down and 3. The ball at the midfield stripe. Gilliam wide to the near side. Here's the handoff to Ed Marinero now in the ball game, and he tries to penetrate the right side and does, down to about the 46, and that could be good enough for a first down. Fernandez and Bonaconti make the tackle on the play. And that, let's see where they're going to mark it.
Looks good to me.
Looks good to me, too. First down for Minnesota, as the ball will be marked at the Miami 46-yard line. Clock moving with 30 seconds left to play in its third quarter. The Dolphins way out in front, 24-0. Chuck Foreman back in. He and Reed are the backs. Dolphins had a 17-0 lead at halftime. Kingsrider comes to the near side. Gilliam is to the far side. First down, Minnesota at the Dolphins' 46-yard line. On the snap, Tarkin drops the throw, firing out to the near side. Foreman, the intended receiver, and Bonaconti broke that one up. As Foreman, coming out of the hook pattern, came out and curled back towards the sideline from the hash mark, and Bonaconti hit him just as the ball got there, and it's incomplete. Incompletion stops the clock with 8 seconds to go in the third quarter. Second down and 10.
Washington had completed 7.
Ed Marinero back in, Oscar Reed, and Bonaconti comes out, and replacing him is Charlie Babb. We're seeing another variation on this defense. Second down and 10. Vikings from the Miami 46. This will be probably the last play of the third period. Gilliam flips to the far side. Kingsrider comes to the near side. The backs are split. Marinero and Reed. Targeted drops the throw. Sets up. He has time. He's going to run with the ball. Now he fires it. It is caught at the Dolphins 40. And coming back, the tackle, John Gilliam is tackled, but that is not going to be enough for a first down. Tim Foley is the man who hit him. The gun sounds simultaneously, and that ends the time for the third period. Dolphin football action will continue from Houston, Texas, and Super Bowl VIII with the score at the end of 3. Miami 24, the Vikings nothing. Let it open the fourth quarter from the Dolphins 44. Third and 2 across the middle. Here's the catch, the great catch. Completed pass down at the 30, the 29-yard line by Stu Voigt, the tight end. Boy, this guy is some kind of a receiver. He has made 3 fine receptions this afternoon. Mike Cullen gets credit for the tackles, but not before the Vikings pick up a first down at the Dolphins 29.
Come on!
In case anyone wonders why Gilliam has not been an open receiver, Lloyd Mumford has been playing him on bump and run.
And doing an excellent job. He's caught one this afternoon of 30 yards, but as it turned out, it was of no consequence. Lash and Gilliam now are the wide receivers. Here's the snap. Tarkenton looking for the near side. Throws it. It is caught by Gilliam, and he runs it out. He is run out, rather, at the 20-yard line by Tim Foley. So they pick up some 9 yards. Will bring a second down and 1.
And let me hasten to say that Tim Foley had just replaced Lloyd Mumford, and Tim didn't play him bump and run.
We've just started the final period. The Dolphins en route to becoming what has to be called now the greatest team in professional football history, and of course that also includes collegiate football history. With their second consecutive Super Bowl victory, the only team to appear here 3 years in a row. The ball at the 20-yard line. Let's see if they can get the shutout. A second down and 1 for the Vikings. Back to throw, Tarkenton. He's firing out for the sideline. Overthrown, intended for Lash at the 10, incomplete. He was just slanting out toward the far side. That'll bring up a third down and 1 for a first down from the Dolphins' 20-yard line. Mike Cullen, Curtis Johnson covered on that last play. Again, we repeat that the return home reception under the sponsorship of the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce will be tomorrow between 3 and 4 when the Dolphins arrive at that 36th Street hangar area. We've had it the last 2 years. Goodrum and Voigt are now in as 2 tight ends to block up front. A third down and 1. A similar situation near the end of the first half where they're at the 6-yard line. They didn't make it. Let's see what they do this time. From the Dolphins 20. Third down and 1. Tarkenton on the snap. Hands off over the right side. Down to the 15 is Oscar Reed inside the 15. He's more than got the first down. Knocked down at the Miami 13-yard line. They went outside that time. Jake Scott brought him down to achieve the first down. And that, for Minnesota, first down-wise, is their 6th of the ball game. They've only gotten a couple here in the second half. Lash and Gilliam are the wide receivers. The ball is at the Dolphins 13. All right, right. Lash flips to the far side. Gilliam comes to the near side. The backs are Marinero, number 49, and Reed, 32. Tarkenton from the Dolphins, 13. Drops back to throw, firing out to the far corner. It is caught inside the 5 and out of bounds at about the 4-yard line is Jim Lash. Curtis Johnson ran him out. And so the Minnesota Vikings are 1 yard away from a first down and now have achieved their deepest penetration of this ball game. Down to the Dolphin 4. And let's see if it's going to be close enough even for a measurement. Apparently not. They put it down at the 4-yard line. It's going to be about a yard away from what they need for a first down. Second down and a yard, 4 yards to go for a TD. And this is their deepest penetration. They leave Goodrum in there to block up front. Normally, he's a tackle. He's a rookie from Florida A&M, number 68. All right. Second down, a yard to go for a first down, 4 yards to go for a TD. Vikings trail 24-0, 13:29 to go in this ball game. Tarkenton sets his ball club. Spinning out to the right to the pass. He's going to run with the ball. He's down to the 2, the 1. He carries in for the touchdown. Tarkenton scores. On the play fake, he just spun it out on the option pass or run football. And he was hit by Jake Scott that ran over him and gets into the end zone. And so the Vikings, behind Kingsrider and Goodrum blocking for Tarkenton, get into the end zone for their first score of the afternoon with 13:25 left to play. And the Dolphins lead now cut to 24-6. Paul Krause will hold, and Fred Cox, who's not had too much to do this afternoon, will try the point from placement. Waiting for the snap, set down. The kick is up, and it is good. So, Dolphin football action will continue in 1 minute. The score, 24-7. Miami out in front.
Number 22,
Rick Weaver, Henry Barrow back at Super Bowl VIII in Houston, Texas. The Dolphins have permitted their first score of the afternoon, 13:25 to go. That drive, 57 yards, 10 plays. Tarkenton scored on a 4-yard run. Cox will kick off to either Mercury Morris or Jake Scott. 24-7. Miami out in front. 13:25 to go. Onside, Scribber touches one of the Dolphins. It's recovered by the Vikings at the Miami 49-yard line. The man whom it touched tried to get out of the way of it, Terry Brown, is the man who recovered it. And so the Vikings, off the onside kick strategy, come up with a football. Now, wait a minute. We're going to get an offside on the kickoff call against Minnesota, and it will not go. The Dolphins, of course, will accept the penalty. You cannot be out in front of the kicker, and somebody was, so they're going to lose possession of the ball. Boy, I tell you, when you got it going for you, it goes your way all the time. I'm not too sure who that ball hit over there. It could have been Matheson. It hit whoever it hit. He tried to get out of the way of it, but it took a funny bounce off the AstroTurf and hit him. But the flag was thrown, and Minnesota is penalized for offsides on the kick. They lose possession of the ball at the Dolphins 49. Get a 5-yard penalty out of it, so they'll kick off again from their 35.
And this time, there's a whole different alignment up front. Guys that are used to handling the ball, like Lloyd Mumford and Charlie Babb and Larry Seipel, got the ball handlers up there.
Terry Brown had recovered that onside kick after it touched the Dolphin, but the Vikings were detected offside. So they lose the field position, they lose the recovery, and are penalized 5 yards. Scott and Morris are back deep. Here's the low squibber. It squirts through, picked up by Scott at the 18 to the 20, 25 to the 30, cuts to the near side. He is still going, and it gets out to the 34 before he almost is decapitated. Jake Scott had he elected to come really wide to the near side, had he had the speed to turn the corner, he might have gone for excellent yardage. Doug Sutherland makes the tackle. Minnesota has to be demoralized off that particular situation. Penalties have really hurt them this afternoon.
Bill Brown is certainly demoralized. He was just arguing with official, jerked his helmet off, almost threw it on the ground, exposing his almost bald crew cut to the cold air.
24-7. Dolphins lead, 13:10 to go. Miami moving from our right to our left towards the north end of the field. The first down from the Dolphins 34. Briscoe and Warfield both split to the near side. Morris and Zonka to back. In behind, Greasy. Here's the handoff to Zonk. Hits the middle and Dixon drives his way out to about the 37-yard line. A 3-yard pickup for Zonka, and he is getting close to an individual single-game rushing record. He now has unofficially carried 25 times for 115 yards, and that is 6 yards away from the record held by Matt Snell of 121 yards, rushing in a Super Bowl game for the Jets against the Baltimore Colts.
On the last kickoff, number 52, Porter, was offside for Minnesota.
Porter, number 52, a linebacker, was the man who was offside for Minnesota on that penalty. 2nd and 7, Dolphins from their 37-yard line. Here comes Briscoe in motion to the near side. Here's the handoff to Morris, tries to get outside of the right. He is caught and thrown for a loss. The 35 by left side linebacker Roy Winston. Winston was coming through, fought off the blockers, and had Morris before he could actually get any traction on the field. A loss of 2, so it brings up a 3rd down and 9. 12-10 to go. Greasy on 3rd down conversions is 4 out of 6. Bob has put the ball up this afternoon. What is that, a 7? I'm glad to find that out. He's completed 6 for 73 yards. The ball is at the 35, a 3rd down and 9. Kick and Zonka are the backs. Warfield spreads to the near side. To the far side is Briscoe. This is a big play here for Greasy from the Dolphins 35. He drops back to throw. Now he's going to run with the ball at the 35 to the 40, and he did not make enough yards for the 1st down. He gets out to the 40-yard line. He scrambled successfully a couple of times against Oakland, but this time not so successfully. Wally Hilgenberg, Jeff Wright, and I'm sure the Vikings in their pregame preparation must have been looking for something like that from time to time. So the Dolphins will have to punt. Line of scrimmage, the Miami 40, Seipel will stand back at the 25, and Bobby Bryant is the deep man back at the Minnesota 20. 11 minutes and 9 seconds to go. Dolphins lead 24-7. A good punt here by Seipel is absolutely essential. Ready to go. Here's a snap. They put on a good rush. He drills up you. Holy Toledo with a kick way back inside the 10. Down to the 5, rolling sideways. It is down by the Dolphins at about the 2-yard line, maybe the 3. Mike Colin downfield downed it. At the 3-yard line, a punt of some 57 yards by Larry Seipel, and he got the sideward bounce that he needs. What did you say, Rick? When things are going your way? And they go your way, they go all the way good. And Colin downfield on the coverage down at 3. Timeout on the field. Dolphin football action continues. In 1 minute, the score: Miami 24, the Vikings 7. Tarkinen back to throw on 1st down in the end zone. Fires it out. Hook pattern at the 10. Caught by Marinero, spinning off tacklers, and gets out to about the 15 for a 1st down. Jake Scott brought him down. Tarkinen back into his end zone from the line of scrimmage to 3. Hit Marinero, and he picks up a 1st down out to the 15. Matheson comes in. Swift and Scott combined on the tackle. The Dolphins unofficially had 166 yards on the ground. That punt by Seipel of 57 yards. Down by Colin, Minnesota 3 is not a Super Bowl record. The longest punt in the Super Bowl game is 61 yards. Lash and Gilliam are the wide men. 1st down, Vikings from their 15. Tarkinen is going to have to put it up. Is going again in the air. The pass across the middle, incomplete. At the 35, on the slant across the middle. And Lash was the man for whom it was intended. The Viking fans booing on the far side thought there should have been apparently pass interference or holding or something. We saw no flag. 10 minutes, 8 seconds to go. Dolphins lead 24-7. And have been in command of this ball game most of the way. Dolphins offense and defense have controlled the situation. That offensive line, another great ball game this afternoon. Minnesota's penalties have really hurt them. Especially that one on the onside kick where they had the ball recovered and then they were detected offsides on the kick. 2nd down and 10 from the 15. Here's a handoff drop by Reed. Cuts back to his right. Good yardage across the 20. Gets out too close to the 25. And that'll be close to a 1st down. Doug Swift reacting. Coming back on the pursuit. Makes the tackle for Miami. 9 yards as they mark it at the 24. And that'll bring up a 3rd down and 1. Now Tarkinen this afternoon on 3rd down conversions is 6 out of 11. Mike Colin just took himself out of the ball game. Larry Ball has come in. A little mixed up. Now Ball comes out again as Matheson was in there. Ball at the 24 in Vikings territory. 3rd and 1. Tarkinen ready to go to work. Has the 2 tight ends up there. On the snap, here's the handoff. Over the right side, Reed falls forward for a 1st down. Out to the 26. He didn't get much, but he got enough. Out to the Vikings 26. Bonacounty on the tackle. Dolphins' game plan now has to be to, keep the ball, make them put the ball up in the air and consume time. This is one thing that Tarkinen does not want to do, is keep the ball on the ground. He's got to score quick. Don't give up the long pass.
Mike Colin was hitting the head. They've got an ice pack on his head. I think that's why he took himself out.
Tarkin first down, back to throw, and the pocket fires. It is dropped at the 31-yard line. The man for whom it was intended was Oscar Reed out of the backfield, but Doug Swift covered on the play. It was not a well-thrown pass. And that'll bring up a 2nd and 10. Bill Brown, number 30, comes into the ball game in his 13th year. The 220-pound veteran from Illinois who was cut a few years back by George Ellis and has gone on to a distinguished career with the Minnesota Vikings. Is now in there. Marinero and Brown are the backs. Vikings, except for one drive here in this 4th quarter and the latter stages of the 3rd, have not been in the ball game. The ball at the 26 in Viking territory, 2nd and 10. Tarkin deep drop. Sets up, fires that hook pattern out of the backfield again. Brown has it across the 30, and he gets out to the 34 before he is sandwiched by several Dolphins. The first man there was Doug Swift, Dick Anderson also over, and Bob Matheson. They mark it at it's closer to the 35. We'll call it the 35-yard line. A 3rd down and 1. 8 minutes, 25 seconds to play before Super Bowl VIII is history. Bob Hines comes in. And out comes Bob Matheson. The ball at the Vikings 35. Here's the handoff. Brown over the left side. He runs into a stone wall, but his penetration, I believe, got enough for a first down. Bill Stanfield, who has been playing with extremely sore ribs this afternoon. Now it can be told. He was on our show last night, our talk show, and said that he probably would be unable physically to participate in the Pro Bowl game, but he is playing in a Super Bowl with extremely sore, and those ribs were cracked against Oakland. That is good enough for a first down, they say. So the ball is at the Vikings 37-yard line. Tarkinen ready to go to work. Time running out. 7:40 to go. He drops deep. Back to throw. He fires out. It is interference. It's called on Miami. He was hit by Tim Foley before the receiver could catch the pass. Ed Marinero was the man for whom it was intended. That hooked out of the backfield, and Marinero was waiting for the ball, and Foley creamed him. So the official right on top of the play calls pass interference. That is an automatic first down for the Vikings out at their 41-yard line. Clock is stopped on the penalty with 7:36 to go. That, believe it or not, is the first penalty of the ball game against the Dolphins. Dolphins have played almost an errorless game. First down for Minnesota at their 41. A slot to the near side. Lash and Gilliam with a wide man. Back to throw. Tarkinen throws it over the outstretched hands of Matheson to Marinero, the 45 to the 50, down to the 40, shaking off tacklers, and somebody better contain him inside the 35 to the 32-yard line. Curtis Johnson had him, but was being carried along the field and hanging on for dear life. Now the officials step in and break up an altercation. Curtis Johnson was the man who made the tackle and was also involved in the melee. Marinero picks up 25 yards. It's just a great effort on his part and gives Minnesota excellent field position at the Dolphins 32.
A lot of melees. Bill Brown and Larry Ball getting into it, too.
6 minutes, 56 seconds to go. 24-7, Dolphins lead. Vikings with a serious threat. Back to throw. Tarkinen has time. Now he's firing deep down the far side. It is knocked down in the end zone. It was intended for a Lash. Down deep in the corner of the end zone, Scott was the man back covering on the play. That's Curtis Johnson also back, but Scott was the man who was the deeper of the two. Second down and 10. As the clock is stopped with 6:43 to go, the ball at the Miami 32-yard line. Dolphins with a 24-7 lead. Team arrives back somewhere between 3 and 4 tomorrow afternoon. That 36th Street area, hangar area. Reception by the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce. We'll have the pleasure of emceeing it. The Dolphin players and coaches. The greatest football team ever put together. Amen. 24-7. All right, the Miami fans chanting defense, defense. Second down and 10. Carroll Dale in there. Ball at the Dolphins 32. Back to throw. Tarkinen has all day. He fires across the middle. It is incomplete. Down at the goal line. Was intended for Boyd, but Foley was back covering on the play. Scott also was back there. That brings up a third down and 10, and this could be the story of the ball game right here. Third down and 10 for the Vikings. The ball at the Dolphins 32-yard line. Tarkinen has put the ball up 27 times, has completed 18 for 179 yards for a new record, breaking the old one held by Joe Namath against the Colts. He has not achieved a great deal with all those yards. 3rd and 10, the ball at the Dolphins 32. Lash puts to the far side. To the near side is Gilliam. The backs are Marinero and Brown. Tarkenton drops the throw. He has time again. He is firing across the middle. It is intercepted by the Dolphins. Back in the end zone. Out to the 45. Curtis Johnson to the 10-yard line. Beg your pardon, the 5 out to the 10. Curtis Johnson picked it off on a great play back at the goal line. It was intended for Lash. And he runs it back out across the 5 out to the 10-yard line. So that could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. With 6:24 to go. Dolphin football action will continue in 1 minute. The score, Miami 24, the Vikings 7.
For your camera, radio, cassette player, get the Golden Power Cell. The long-life alkaline power cell from Everready.
Zonka on the first play from scrimmage runs the ball out. Jim Marshall makes the tackle, and they mark it out at the 17. Larry now has picked up a new individual single-game rushing record for a Super Bowl game. We have him unofficially with 122 yards, 26 carries, and that should break Matt Snell's whole record of 121, but that's unofficial. 17, a 2nd and 3 for the Dolphins following Curtis Johnson's interception of a Fran Tarkenton pass. Here's the handoff. Zonka now has the record as he bounces out across the left side, across the 20. He gets out to the 22, and that should be good enough, and is, for a Miami first down. The clock shows 5 minutes and 33 seconds left to play. The Dolphins have this one wrapped up. Seaman and Hilgenberg make the tackle on that last play. And the ball at the Miami 22.
By the way, so far today, 27 carries for Zonka, 128 yards.
Zonka has established a new Super Bowl rushing record of 128 yards. Those are the official totals just announced on the PA system. Dolphins have really handled this Viking team. Great preparation, a great coaching win. The ball, the Miami 22, first down with 5 minutes to go. There's the handoff to kick over the left side out to about the 23. Let's pause for station identification on the Miami Dolphins Football Network.
58 Hilgenberg on the stop.
The most complete full-color coverage of Super Bowl VIII hits the streets tomorrow at 9 a.m. in the Miami News. See all the action in color, plus pages and pages of stories, all in tomorrow's Miami News. WIOD Miami.
All right, we're back. The ball is at the 22, no gain on the last play. 2nd down and 10. Clock moving, 4:33 to go. Dolphins scored once in the second half, so the Vikings. Miami has it won, 24-7. Unless the ground open up and swallows Miami's team. Here's the handoff to Zonka over the right side, and he gets out to about the 25. Jim Marshall in on the stop, along with Carl Eller. We cannot say enough about the job that the Miami offensive line has done in handling this fearsome foursome. The Purple People Eaters have been toothless this afternoon. 4 minutes to go. Dolphins with a 24-7 lead. 3rd down, and we'll call it 8. The ball at the 24-yard line in Dolphins territory. 3 minutes, 48 seconds to go. Greasy would like to keep control of this football. Warfield to the near side, Briscoe off to the far side. The backs kicking Zonka in and eye. Here's the handoff. Zonka on the trap, hits the middle and gets to the 25. There is a flag thrown, and a little rough stuff, I believe, is going to be called on Alan Page. The Dolphins becoming incensed. The Vikings continuously called for penalties. Once it really hurt him here in the second half. Page is the man who it was called on because he is arguing the most violently with the referee. The flag went down immediately as Zonka appeared to be roughed up from here. Now, they haven't marched it off yet. 3 minutes and 33 seconds to go. The major infraction, the cheek shot, as one of the fans hollers up from down below. A personal foul against the Vikings. They have been assessed 6 penalties unofficially for 62 yards. The most penalized team in the NFL this year. Howard Twilley has come in. Briscoe is out at a wide receiver. The Dolphins pick up a first down off that personal foul penalty against the Vikings at the Miami 40. Miami has Super Bowl VIII in its hip pocket. The only team since the Green Bay Packers to have won back-to-back Super Bowls. The only team to have come 3 times and to have won 2 out of 3. First down, Miami from their 40-yard line. the handoff. Zonka through a hole the left side. Gets out to the 45-yard line. Jim Marshall makes the tackle on the play. We have really had a hard-hitting, brutal ball game. The Vikings have been detected several times this afternoon with the cheap shot. Mandich is in along with Fleming. For the tight end. Bully is out. Second, he stays in. And Mandich and Fleming are in. Warfield is out. The ball is at the Miami 45, a second down and 5. Kick and Zonka in the backs. 3 minutes to go in this contest. The Dolphins have won Super Bowl VIII. They'll be home tomorrow somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 o'clock. Here is Kick through a hole on the right side. Still digging and driving for yardage. Gets out to about the 49. It'll be about 2 shy of what they need for a first down, but there's another flag down apparently on the play. The attendance today, 68,142, 4,000, almost 4,500 no-shows. Now let's see what the infraction is going to be all about. The flag was dropped. Minnesota unofficially with 6 penalties, 62 yards, and they have had some in crucial situations. This time it's going to be against Miami, apparently. Dolphins have had only 1 penalty, that on a pass interference late in this ball game. The clock is stopped with 2:45 to go. Henry Barrow has left for the locker rooms. Personal foul against the Dolphins. So they aren't going to take it all out. Now, wait a minute. They call personal fouls on both teams. So it's an offsetting double foul, and they'll run the play again. I was just wondering how long it was going to be before somebody on our side would retaliate. But that time, it's against both teams. Zonka and Kick remain the backs. Mandich and Fleming are the tight ends. Now they're going to measure. Reese has requested a measurement to find out just exactly how much yardage he needs. The clock shows 2:45. Henry Barrow has left for the locker room and will be down there with our Dolphin locker room show just as soon as they allow him in. It's going to be... The Dolphins get the benefit. It was not a double foul. The penalty against Minnesota was called after the play. And so the ball is remarked at the 50-yard line. That's what it was. And it was called against Minnesota after the play, which allows the Dolphins a third down and less than a yard situation at the 50-yard line. The penalty against Minnesota again hurts them. From the 50, third down, less than a yard. The Dolphins set. Reese, and somebody jumps from the Vikings offsides. Another flag goes down. This has turned into a penalty-strewn contest. And let's see who this one is going to be called against. Offside against Minnesota. We'll get Miami a first down. And we'll put the ball at the Minnesota 45-yard line. If they want to start hitting people and jumping around too soon, all Reese has to do is change his cadence. And that time it worked. He lured him offside. Page and Eller, the 2 monsters up on that front 4 with the fellows offside. Ball at the 45-yard line in Minnesota territory. Clock is still stopped on the penalty with 2:45 to go. Kick and Zonka are the running backs. Television will not be able to get into the locker rooms because of the smallness of the locker rooms, so we'll be in there. Here's a handoff, going to Kick over the left side, and he gets about a yard to the 44-yard line. Hitting after the whistle and a little kicking going on down on the field. Turned into a nasty ball game. Gary Larson is the fellow who makes the tackle. But yet, after it's over, and everything has been settled as to who has the better team, they'll shake hands. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in the contest. The Dolphins have won Super Bowl VIII. There never was too much doubt about it. 24-7 is the score now, with coming up to the 2-minute warning. The Dolphins have a second down and 9 at the Minnesota 44-yard line. Henry Barrow is heading for the Dolphins locker room for our post-game show. Here's the handoff. Zonka, big hole across the 40, down to the 37, and he is going to be close to a first down. Oh, well, let's double-check that. He's going to be a couple yards away. They mark it at the 38-yard line. That's the 2-minute warning. Dolphin football will continue in 1 minute. The score, Miami 24, the Vikings 7. He's now carried 31 times for 141 yards. So Zonk wins the sports car. It'll be a third down and a long streak for a Miami first down. The ball just inside the Vikings 38-yard line with 1 minute and 58 seconds left to play in the ball game. The Dolphins, most importantly, however, have won Super Bowl VIII and have achieved just a record that may never be broken. Twilly comes in motion to the near side. The handoff goes to Zonka, and he keeps patting that yardage mark as he hits it across the right side, gets down to about the 35. Playing ball control, just playing keep away. 1:25 left to go. Lurchema is in on defense. Dolphins lead 24-7. The ball at the Vikings 35. Two tight ends are up front. Reese will wait for the snap. Kick and Zonka are the running backs. Handoff. Zonka has got the first down across the right side, gets to the 34, maybe the 33-yard line. And so Minnesota may never get their hands back on the football. Zonka, who will come out. The game's most valuable player, 33 carries, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. For the Zonk, the game's most valuable player. And the handkerchiefs are out in mass. First down for Miami at the 34 in Vikings territory. 35 seconds left to play. 24-7. Here's the handoff to Kick through a hole on the right side. Cuts back to his left. Gets inside the 30 down to about the 28-yard line. Much in command of the Dolphins for the entire ball game. They just rammed it right down the Vikings' throats. The players are leaving the field with 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, and the Dolphins again, for the second straight year, are the world champions, just taking the Vikings apart. The final score, Miami 24, Minnesota 7.
I just like to say a couple of things about our football team. In the 4 years that I've been down to Miami, every year this team has gotten a little bit better. The first year we got to the playoffs and got beat in the playoffs. The next year we made it to the Super Bowl. But we were frustrated. We got beat in the Super Bowl. And then last year, 17-0, the Super Bowl, everything else. And I didn't think that anything else could ever be any greater than that. But this year, even though we lost 2 ball games, for this team to be able to go back-to-back, and there's only one other team that ever did that, Bart, the old Pack. And I feel so proud of this team because I think, again, it's gone one step beyond what it did last year.
21 first downs to the Minnesota Vikings 14. The net rushing yardage, Minnesota was held to 72 on the ground and 196 for Miami. The Dolphins wind up with 259 yards total offense to 238 for the Vikings. Don Shula is, in my opinion, perhaps the greatest coach who ever lived. The final again, 24-7. We'll see you tomorrow. A pleasant good evening.